What do you say, everybody? Welcome to the Bama Insider YouTube channel. This is our post-game show, and what a post-game it was for Alabama, or game for Alabama, 20-19 win. We want to hear from you. The phone lines are open, 205-850-1994. You want to talk about how this game turned out? I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. If you watch our shows, kind of saw this coming, but I'll tell you what, Alabama got the win. It wasn't easy, kind of reminiscent of last year's Iron Bowl, but a victory for the Crimson Tide. Want to see you guys in the comments section. Jersey Dolphins in there. Jeff Stapleton, good to see you, man. Sean from Huntsville, Jonathan, all you guys, get in there. Jarvis, wow, I got you, man. I feel like this is what college football is all about. In Alabama, finding a way to win in a game that easily could have gone the other direction. As you hang out with us on the Bama Insider YouTube channel, like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Chris Daughtry is in the house. We're in my home studio. We just watched the game, and just still so many different things to talk about in this game. New members, like, subscribe, and join. Naomi, thank you for joining us here on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. Hit the bell so you know when we're going live with shows just like this, our post-game show. We might hear from Clint Lamb. We might hear from Jay Barker. But what I want to do is I want to hear from you guys. The phone line's open, and talk about this game and, kind of what you thought about it. And let's just go right to the phone lines here and kind of get into some conversations after what turned out to be a crazy game. Who's this and where are you calling from? Okay, yeah, call back because whoever just called in, you got to talk when you call on. It was like an echo. But look, Alabama with a 2019 win. Will Reichert kind of exercising the demons for Alabama teams in the past, unable to get those big kicks on the road. How many times do we talk about, the Flugner type of games? Hey, they missed the extra point to beat Tom Brady or tie the game. And, it's happened over and over again, but not with Will Reichert out of Hoover, who's so tremendous. What a great win. Tony Buck, appreciate the super sticker. Thank you so much, man. Roll Tide to you. And for all of you guys who shoot out the super chats, we definitely appreciate all of that stuff as well. All right, let's take a look at some of the numbers. And again, we will take your calls. But let's I'm going to switch screens here, put me in the small screen. And then put that in the big screen. Alabama got off to a good start in this game. They led 10-3. Then all of a sudden, they could not move the ball. The offensive line looked like it was overwhelmed. They weren't able to establish much on the ground. Seemed like they went away from Jahmyr Gibbs. They finally got back to him towards the end of the game. The wide receivers missed some catches middle of the game, made some big catches late. Chase McClellan had the long touchdown, and that was about it today. Look, he ended up with 81 yards, or 97 yards, 81, though, on one play. Jahmyr Gibbs kind of showing us all the different stuff he could do. 9 carries for 22 yards on the ground. He also caught the ball a bunch. But it was Bryce Young's running at the end of the game that led Alabama to the victory. I felt like Bryce Young, who's the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, had 2 tremendous drives in this game. He's got so much experience. And again, when Alabama needed big plays, they relied on their quarterback. He had 7 carries for 38 yards, but there was one right at the end of the game where he ducked the tackler and then got Alabama to within field goal range that I thought was the difference in this contest. Too many penalties. You talk about being on the road in a tough environment. And then remember, these are Big 12 officials, okay? And that normally doesn't happen in these non-conference games, but that was the case. Alabama, 15 penalties, 100 yards. Texas, only 5 for 30. Questionable to me. Look, I mean, you sit here and blame the officials. Look, Alabama won the game. They didn't cover the spread. They didn't play their best, but they won the game. The penalties stopped at the end of the game, and Alabama started to move the ball. I'm not blaming the officials. Alabama was sloppy. But at the same time, it's one of those things that you kind of have to throw in there as well. Play calling, you guys, I'm sure going to want to talk about that. Bill O'Brien, the offensive coordinator. I think he felt like they had to be kind of a little simple with the offense, and I think part of that was because the blocking wasn't good at all at times, and so Bryce Young at times running for his life. Other times the receivers just weren't getting open, and that's another part of this as well. So I mean, there's just so many different things that happened, but Alabama won this football game, and to me, I mean, you can't overlook the fact that they won the game. I mean, that to me is is why you play the games. That's why you go out there and do this, and it's just still I'm still in shock, to be honest with you. I mean, the way that game ended, really just still kind of looking at this and going, wow. Jahmyr Gibbs can catch the ball. I'll tell you what, 9 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown. He's got great hands. Even though the run blocking could be a lot better for Alabama, maybe the schemes could be better as well. This guy, I mean, Alabama just went out and got a first-round pick from Georgia Tech in the transfer portal. Trayshawn Holden with some catches today, 4 for 39. No one stood out, though, like Jahmyr Gibbs. Good to see Cameron Latu back. He had 4 catches and 28 yards. Kobe Prentice had 4 catches, 27 yards. Big catches for Ja'Cory Brooks. When Alabama needed it, they went on that touchdown drive that put them ahead 17-16. It was good to see Ja'Cory get back into the fold, made some great catches, helped set Alabama up. Jermaine Burton missed some catches in this game. He ended up with 2 catches for 10 yards. He's got to be more consistent with his hands. But I think that goes for a lot of these guys. Just, something that we really haven't seen with Alabama's receivers over the last few years. Those guys make all the catches. And, there were some drop passes today. But give Texas a ton of credit. They made big plays. Texas was tough. All right, let's go to the phone lines. And let's talk to you guys and see what you thought about the game. Let's try this one more time. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Mick? This is Sam from Birmingham, man.
Hey, what's up, Sam?
How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing a lot better than I was when it was 1917.
Ain't that the truth?
Good game, though.
The truth.
Good game.
I mean, yeah, you hit on some good points, man. I don't know. I mean, when we were struggling, I was like, man, now is a time where our offensive coordinator needed to be on the field to kind of calm Bryce down and, help him gather himself and get himself together. And like you said, and I was saying this too, I was like, he's back there holding the football. That means our receivers are not creating separation and getting open.
Yeah.
And why did they go away? I don't understand why he went away from Jahmyr Gibbs. Like in the first half of the first quarter, Jahmyr Gibbs was like doing everything. He was running the football. He was catching the ball at the backfield. He's a mismatch nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm not understanding why they kind of went away from him.
I don't either. I don't either. I mean, look, we were sitting here saying the same thing, that this guy could win the Heisman Trophy. It's unbelievable all the different tools that he has in his toolbox. He can catch the ball as a receiver. Right. He can run the ball. He's got breakaway speed. He gets you the close yards too. And at the beginning of the game, they just kept feeding him the ball. And then when they started to move the ball again in the fourth quarter, they went back to him again.
Yeah. I mean, even at the end of the game, I questioned some of the penalties were legit, but some of the penalties that these referees were throwing was just, I don't know. I just think that some of them were some of them were just iffy. I mean, I feel like some of them weren't correct, especially the one on Dallas Turner. But at the end of the game, when they put Wardell Williams in, my thing is like, your number one guy, one of the quickest guys with the most agility is Jahmyr Gibbs. He would have made that cut in that hole and picked up that first down. But, our receivers didn't play well. They didn't get open. Even when they caught the ball, it's like, just get upfield, man. Just run and get upfield. You'll pick up a first down. You trying to, go around the guy. Just get upfield. And, Will Anderson, he knows that he didn't have one of his best days, but he came up at the end, at the end of the game with a clutch sack. But, 15 penalties for 100 yards, man, that's just, that's not Alabama football. They're just being undisciplined. I question some of the play calling by our defensive coordinator too. I question play calling by offensive coordinator. But, just some of the stuff is just very undisciplined. You're tackling with your arms and you got to use your whole body, especially like your legs to tackle, man. Your legs are the strongest part of your body, and you don't use your legs to help you tackle somebody and bring somebody down. But I kind of give it up to, Coach Sark. I mean, he very innovative on the play calling, the short passes, the dinking and the dunking, matriculating the ball down the field. You got to give it up to him, man. So, it was a great win. We needed it. I don't know if we still going to be number one, but it doesn't really matter at this point. We just got to go back to the drawing board, man, and figure some things out and work things out next week.
Yeah, Sam, great to hear from you. Roll Tide, man. Great call.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good one, bro.
Yeah, and I'm going to comment on Sam, and Jay Barker's going to drop in, and I'm sure he's going to want to take some calls with us, guys. Look, there's so many different things in here, but I'm telling you guys right now that Alabama's road schedule this year is really tough. This is just the first of a bunch of tough road games, so get used to it. And it's probably good for this team to go through this because at Ole Miss is going to be tough, at Tennessee is going to be tough, at LSU is going to be tough. This conference is really good. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. And let's go back to the phones again and get some calls in. We're going to hear from Nick Saban later on as you hang out with us on the Bama Insider YouTube channel after Bama's 20-19 win at Texas. Bama's got a 2-game win streak over the Longhorns. They're 2-7 against them all time, and today they got out with a W. Didn't look good. Who's this and where you calling from?
What's up, man? This is Jay from Sheffield.
What's up, Jay from Sheffield? Roll Tide, man.
Man, great win, but I've been calling in all summer with one complaint. Bill O'Brien and his lack of creativity.
Yeah.
And this whole offensive scheme we done got now, just because you got all these little fancy receivers and things, and you got to get back to running that ball, man. You got an 80-yard touchdown, Bill. Then you come out and throw the ball 3-4 straight times. When do that make sense ever in football history?
Yeah, right.
Like I've been questioning Bill since Nick hired him because I'm like, man, this dude ain't never did nothing offensively, like ever. Like he ain't that. You got a reputation because you won a Super Bowl with Brady, bro. A 4-year-old can be Brady's offensive coordinator in the NFL or rigging for that offensive coordinator to win the Super Bowl because he went Brady. So you ain't never really did nothing, Bill.
Right.
Hey, run the ball, man. That's all I'm saying. Run the ball, man. Will, I'm of the mindset to where, Will, you that eager to come off the ball, dog? I'm going to go ahead and bump you inside the way you can see it on third down. Why not? You that eager to come off the ball. I'm going to go and bump you down inside, Will, and we're going to bring in Braswell. Why not? He's strong enough to handle the run, right? We say, oh, look at him in the run. Okay, so one play. If you jump outside twice, I'm not going to let you do it a third time. I'm going to put you in a better position than letting you keep jumping outside on third down.
Right.
Or am I thinking too much of like a video game or something?
No, look.
I just want to help you out.
Right.
Because they moved Derek Thomas all over the field.
Right.
Or am I tripping?
Yep. Look, and we're going to go to Jay Barker. Great call, though, man. Roll Tide, thanks for calling in. I want to comment on what you're saying. I'll say this right off the bat. If someone on that offensive line isn't getting the job done, there's other guys on this team that can slide in, and maybe we need to see what they can do in a game. They got to be able to block. But another great call. Let's bring on Jay Barker, partner on Tuesdays and Thursday for Crimson Tide Headlines 2019. Roll Tide, Jay. What do you think, man? Jay, you there?
His mic's muted.
I think your mic's muted, Jay.
There we go. You think I would know this by now?
Hey, there you are, man. 2019.
I thought I'd unmuted it. My goodness. I guess it muted on me. But,
give me your breakdown of the game and let's take some calls because
win is a win.
Riled up.
Yeah, I know. Win is a win, but it's ugly. It was very ugly. Give Patterson a lot of credit for his over the last 4 months, breaking down Alabama, offensively, figuring out ways. And I said it early on my show. I said it here on Tuesday. The way to beat Bryce and the way to beat Alabama, or at least cause issues, is pressure. And they did that throughout the game. Really applied a lot of pressure. I heard the comments from put Will Anderson inside. You kind of eliminate what he does best, and that's the outside rush. When you do that, I get his thoughts, and he's exactly right. I mean, with Derek Lassick, they had some schemes. You just got to remember it's just a different way of playing football now. There's bigger guys inside. You got guys on the outside that are bigger and faster on the ends as well. But what he does best is rush the passer from the outside, drop into coverage at times. And he just had a rough start. I mean, the 3 offside penalties, the late hit. I mean, that's not normal for Will Anderson. And I think he was very frustrated. They were double teaming him pretty much the entire game. Especially
do you think he was offsides every time? One of the plays, isn't there a line judge?
He was offsides 1 or 2 of the first early plays that they didn't call. Oh, yeah, he was lining up all sides early on, and he's done it a couple of times even against Utah State. So they got to work on that with him and getting him lined up correctly. So, yeah, he's probably jumping the gun a little bit. I think that hit late was more out of frustration that he hadn't had a sack yet, that he hadn't made a big play, and then he came up big at the end, especially getting the sack. Even though they got the field goal, he still got the sack. And man, I was just thinking to myself, if Auburn beats Alabama.
Oh, I know. I saw that guy, Bert Auburn. I'm going, you got to be kidding
I know,
me.
Kidding me. You got to be kidding me. But
of course he was going to make it.
Oh, it was unbelievable. Alabama is up with 15 penalties. You can't have that. I think 13 was the most since 2010 for Nick Saban. 11 broke a record for penalties. You hurt yourself like that and give 100 yards in penalties. That just helps your opponent. Ewers goes out, so we're going to hear the whole thing about where our starting quarterback went out, so we're not able to win this game like they did the national championship game back in 2009. Card came in, and he had the hurt ankle and just played really tough through it all. Give Sark and his coaching staff credit. I mean, a lot of times you just got to give the other side credit. Tough environment for those guys who had a couple of legal procedures because of noise, and just give them credit for what they did. Alabama came away with a win. Again, it was ugly, but win's a win, baby. And at the end of the day, they're 2-0 right now and still have a chance to compete for the national championship, make the playoffs, and they get it done. So Bryce was brilliant. The last 2 drives, just what he put together, how he played, his poise, his confidence. Everybody believed in him. They know he's done it before. And he just stayed in the pocket and made the throws. And then that scramble where he ducked underneath and was able to get out for the run and then get us in a really great position to get that winning field goal. And Reichard, I mean, he's got nerves of steel, man. He's got ice flowing through his blood.
Michael Proctor.
He is like Michael. I mean, Michael was unbelievable. And good throwback there. Unbelievable kicker and saved a lot of games for us. And that's what Reichard did today. But Bryce kind of knew. He said, "Look, I'm giving it to my kicker." He threw it to the side real quick on that blitz and got his field goal kicker some extra yards. Got him in there and able to get him to kick the field goal. So tough win for Alabama, but they got it done. I know the fans are going to be upset. They're going to pick this thing apart as much as they can. They should. I mean, that's what fans do. But have fun with it. And look, everybody's gonna have their own opinions and thoughts about it, but it's a win, baby.
Jay, let's take some calls. You want to?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go to the phone lines again with Jay Barker and Mick Gillispie on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. Who's this and where you calling from?
This is Ben from Oregon.
Ben from Oregon?
Yes.
What's up, man? What did you think of the game?
I have to say I was very, very disappointed. I think the coordinators are terrible, but their offensive defensive coordinator. Every time we got in the shotgun and sent our running back out in the flats, we threw the ball. It's transported as parents to be. Our defensive coordinator still can't coach our players to tackle. And I have to bring out the media and the fact that every single year we hear about how we're going to have the best defense, 92 of the best since 2016. And with Pete Gilman, we're never going to have that. And the fact that we
run the ball from a shotgun 4th and 1.
Yeah,
But
I didn't
that's
like
how
that play
football
call
is.
either.
It was terrible. It was terrible. I can't understand without our tough. The only reason we won today is because we have better athletes. I mean, we barely beat a team that was on their second string quarterback, and if he didn't get hurt with his leg, he would have put power behind passes. He would have completed a lot of passes, and we would have lost.
Right. Well, Ben, let us chew on that. Thank you. We're gonna talk about it.
Good call.
Great call, man. Roll Tide. Thanks for calling in from Oregon. Ben calling all the way from Oregon. All right, Jay, jump into what he's talking about here. He's saying, hey, the handoff from shotgun, that was a bad play call, and it really felt like the offense didn't have its best day. Your feeling though on the coordinator?
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, Bill O'Brien, I've known Bill for years, and also have been very close to him based on my son being coached by him, and now a GA underneath him. I mean, I really I understand, from a play call standpoint on that the 3rd and 1, whatever it was. To me, whether it's an H-back or a tight end, you may have him as a lead blocker. That way it kind of cleans up anything that's inside, gives you a push in order for that running back. I don't mind the shotgun. I mean, I'd rather be underneath. I think that's just kind of their bread and butter, more what they do. They probably feel more comfortable going from that. Bryce may feel more comfortable going from shotgun than going underneath center as much as he's in shotgun throughout the game. So maybe that's kind of the thoughts from the coaches and why they felt like, we don't want to mess up a snap or have any kind of fumble there at the line of scrimmage. But, they just got to get better. I mean, I think they're going to learn a lot from this game. I think this is the type of games that you have early on if it's good. I mean, a team like Texas that came out, I mean, this was their Super Bowl. I mean, ESPN Game Day was there. I mean, it was so many emotions and so much adrenaline that they had for this game that Alabama probably in their locker room, probably throughout the week preparing, did not have. They're going out playing the game. They're going through the process, as Coach Saban talks about, and they're the hunted. I mean, they're the ones that are being hunted. So they're not the hunters. And so that makes it a little bit different from a psychological and emotional standpoint. But I get the frustration. I mean, 2019, everybody thought this team, Alabama would beat by 20 points. I thought Quinn Ewers played great. His time out there, the way that he was able to throw the ball, stood in the pocket. I don't think to me, I didn't think that was really a penalty at all. I'm not seeing it through crimson colored glass. I'm seeing it through how many times I got hit like that in practice, not like games. So that was the.
Well, what's the form, Jay? You said he jumped, and that. What are you supposed to do in that situation if you're
from
the
what
quarterback?
standpoint? Quarterback.
Yeah.
You're. I mean, when you're in the air like that, I mean, there's no way. And Dallas Turner didn't pick him up and throw him down. Dallas Turner just tackled. He went into him and tackled him. And while he was in the air, I mean, that happens. I mean, you just go down on your shoulder, and it's just one of those freak accidents that happen. Nothing Quinn Ewers could have done. Nothing really Dallas Turner could have done any different. I didn't think it should have been a penalty at that time, but they called it. I hate it for Quinn Ewers because I think he's a talented young player. Hopefully he can get back for Texas, and they can make a great run. And, I've known Sark for many, many years, and I thought he had a great game plan today. Again, I think they spent a lot of time on Alabama defensively, figuring out how to match up on them. And a couple of times there were some drops by receivers that should have been caught. They did a really good job those last few drives, finding over the middle with Ja'Cory Brooks, getting him involved in the game a little bit more than he was to begin with. I kept thinking, okay, they're going to come back with a fake screen out to the out. I mean, they were the safeties were jumping the screens like crazy, coming up and making the plays. And I'm like, fake screen, act like you're going to block and go. Get an explosive play off of that. But they never got to that. So, I think there's a lot of stuff that the players are going to learn from this, but more importantly, the coaches. And Pete Golding, I know everybody wants to get on top of him. He's an outstanding football coach. He's very revered by Coach Saban. Coach Saban thinks he's one of the best that he's worked with, and believe it or not, for a lot of the fans out there that don't like Pete Golden, probably don't like what I'm saying about him right now. But I'm just telling you, the guy, he knows his defense. He's got a photographic memory, and I almost said photogenic. But photographic
That's
memory.
Me. That's me, Jay. Look at me on camera. Look at me right here.
But I understand the frustration for the fans, and I get it. I mean, 16 first downs compared to 25 with Texas, 5 of 15 on third down efficiency. They were 3 of 12, which that shows the defense, when they had to get it done, got it done. That's a great number for the defense. Fourth down efficiency were 1 of 2. They were 0-0. They didn't have any, but they had 371 yards total for them, and 374, just 3 yards more for the Crimson Tide. And then in passing, 292 and 213 for Bryce Young. But look, Bryce stepped up when he needed to step up. He made the plays. Coach Saban talked about that at the end of the game in his post-game interview and said, look, the guy can make plays. Why he's the Heisman Trophy winner. And he did an outstanding job getting this team in a position to win this game by 1 point. I know it's ugly, but hey, a win's a win.
Guys, as you're holding, I'm going to go hit these phone calls. Get your point out. We'll chew on it. We're going to try to get to as many of you guys as we can and, break this game down. With Jay Barker and Mick Gillispie on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is James from Mississippi.
What's up, James?
What's going on, man? Overall, today, man, it's been a headache. I ain't gonna lie to you.
All of us.
To me, if the receivers ain't getting separation, we still have a transfer into Tyler Orrell. It should be in the game. I don't know what's going on with that.
Injuries.
Can you enlighten me on what's going on with that with him or anything like that? Is he still hurt, or I'm just wondering why he's not getting any playing time.
Right.
And then I understand as well, with the offensive line situation. Nick Saban said he had 7 to 8 offensive linemen that can play high-quality football right now. The thing was, the group that he put in there today is not cutting it. It's not been cutting it for the last 2 years. If that's the case, you need to switch it up during the game. You could take that as a learning curve. And overall, Bill O'Brien, his scheme was not up to par today. The receivers couldn't get separation. Kudos to Texas for that. They did come up with a good defensive plan and making sure they didn't get good separation. Overall, defensively wise, Will Anderson, you could tell they weren't used to an early game in the morning because they usually play their games either in the afternoon or at night. I just don't think we don't need to do that again for a while.
I'm with you, James from Mississippi. Roll Tide, man. Thanks, great call.
Thanks, man.
Jay, chew on what James had just kind of threw out there. You and I've had this debate all week about the game times. I'm just not an early morning person. I'm not an early bird, Jay. So I was kind of worried about the guys. I don't know if that's an excuse. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, it can be for a lot of these guys because they're used to those afternoon games or night games, and it's normally what they get because of primetime TV. And this is kind of the primetime thing for Fox, and they want them at noon Eastern. So that was the 11 o'clock game. So it can be tough. I mean, you get up, you have one meal. It's kind of like get up and go. A lot of those players have not been used to that, especially guys that are younger that have come in. For instance, Kobe Prentice, the receiver, though he had some nice catches and really did a good job throughout the game. One catch or one part where he should have slowed down in zone. And it looked like Bryce threw it behind him, but really that's where he's got to settle down early on in the game there. But, it's one of those things where, again, they're going to learn from this. I think, the criticism is there. People can, make whatever thoughts they have. And I think people are making some great points. Offensive line-wise, I mean, you trust the guys who have been together, playing together. And, I think the coaches watching practice who's most prepared, who's ready to go at that point in time. And, look, if you can switch guys in and out, I think they would do it if they felt really comfortable about making those switches, that guys understood the game plan, understood protection, understood the run game as far as what they wanted to do. So, I always go back to the coaches. They watch them in practice. They see them. I don't think they're just throwing a guy out there to put him in there. They want to get the best 5 guys they possibly can to really go up against that Texas defense. So, again, ugly win, but a win's a win. But the other thing, too, is they're going to learn a lot from this game. And whenever you got to come back like this, especially early on, that's a big, big building point for you and your team. It builds a lot of confidence. More importantly, you just don't want to put yourself in that position again. And all right, we'll continue.
Did I lose you, Jay?
Presented by Westgate. So
there you go.
There he is. He's back with us now.
Yeah. No, I was.
Yeah,
I couldn't.
you were spinning.
Was I spinning? Normally, I'm pretty good internet here. Show's brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominiums. Normally, we do this from the roof of Westgate, right next to Bryant-Denny Stadium. WestgateAL.com. That is the webpage if you want to find out more information about these luxury condominiums, the oversized balconies. You're talking about the Skygate Club, which is on the roof where we hang out after all the home games. It's awesome up there. It's a great tailgate. You got 1 to 5 bedroom units that go from 900 to 3,000 square feet. You're talking about amazing kitchens. You got parking. It's awesome. You're right near the Walk of Champions, Denny Chimes, the Strip, all of that stuff. Westgate Luxury Condominiums, WestgateAL.com. You can rent them when you come to town, or you can buy them. You can even maybe live there when you're, you work in Tuscaloosa. Maybe you just want a place to go for the games. Maybe you have a kid in school at Alabama. Maybe you're going to school at Alabama. WestgateAL.com. He's Jay Barker. I'm Mick Gillispie talking about Alabama's win over the Longhorns. Let's go back to the phone lines again. Callers, just a great job so far. Just get your point out, and then we'll chew on it and get to someone else. Who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, Mick, this is Jarek from Buffalo, man.
What's up, dude? Jarek from Buffalo, one of my All-American callers. Meet Jay Barker.
What's going on, fellas?
What's happening, Jarek? How are you, man?
Boy, I'm numb. I'm numb. Could barely stand right now. But, man, we had a lot of question marks during the offseason about, can the offensive line, can that get fixed? Can our receiving group, is inexperienced finally going to cost us? Is the secondary, even though we're all kind of predicted that secondary was going to be incredible, right? Is it going to have some wrinkles, some holes, especially because we have some uncertainty about our starting outside corners? And we got our answers tonight. And we're not a team, at least right now in this moment, we're not ready to be number one right now. We're not the number one team in the nation. We are a team right now that needs to go back to the drawing board. I think that, honestly, you can legit make a case, make an argument that there's a lot of jobs that I think that kind of needs to be a little bit evaluated and say, I think that we need to have a little bit more of an open competition, especially that we have 2 weeks until we prepare for Arkansas. I think that this was a game that we were just extremely undisciplined. We had 15 penalties, and even though there were a couple penalties, like you guys mentioned a little bit earlier, that were absolute bullcrap, but there were other. But we had at least, and I counted, there were 6 missed penalties that were clear cut that kind of went in our favor. And so we legit could have had over 20 penalties in this game, which is absolute. I've never heard of a team have that many penalties, but we could have had it. We could have had that much with the amount of missed penalties we had that that obviously went our way. We got to go back. Mick, the only thing I can really say is that we need to go back to the drawing board and we really need to evaluate ourselves, right? It was to a point where I didn't even like when the players threw the horns down. I didn't even think we deserved to even do that. Because if Quinn Ewers would have played in this game, if Jaleel Billingsley never would have been suspended, imagine if Nair was healthy. There is a legit case. You can make an argument we could have lost this game by 2 scores at least. Just the way the game was going, it's incredible. And yeah, we need to go back to the drawing board right away. Forget the whole conference crap. Forget the preseason predictions about this could be the greatest Alabama team of all time. That's out the window.
Yeah.
We need to go back to the drawing board, look at our strengths, look at our weaknesses. We need to evaluate this roster. And just like how Corey Brooks, who didn't start this game, came into this game and he became our most clutch player. We need to go look at this roster and take a look at players that actually want to be there on the football field tonight. Because today, for the majority of this game, we did not bring our A game. We did not come to play. We did not look prepared, and it's something that we got to go back and evaluate because we got a big game coming up in about a couple weeks against Arkansas in another hostile environment. So we got to get ready.
Jarek, dude, you knocked it out of the park again, my friend. That's why you're one of the All-American callers. We're going to chew on what you just threw out there for us. Roll Tide, my friend, and it's great to hear your voice again. Thanks for calling.
Yep, roll Tide, man. Have yourself a good night.
You too.
Roll Tide. Thank you, Jarek.
Hey, we won. That's the good thing. We won. Hey, Jay, you just heard from Jarek. He's amazing. Talk about some of the things that he said, and I agree with him on a lot of that. Look, it was great to see Ja'Cory Brooks. Just because you practice good doesn't mean that you play well, and he comes in the game and makes 2 of the biggest catches of the game.
Yeah, really good job also by Bill and Bryce as far as seeing that the middle of the field was open more, that they could get the ball inside. And Ja'Cory did a great job of catching the ball and making plays. I thought Jahmyr Gibbs actually had a really good game as well, and then McClellan as well. And Jace had that long run that was huge for Alabama early on in the game. As far as going back to the drawing board, you do to a degree. You go back and look at things that you can get better at. I mean, they kind of know their guys coming out of camp. They know who's going to be their starters at all the different positions. They've got a lot of reps and a lot of time invested in those guys. And Jarek, I get your thoughts. I mean, I get your idea that, hey, everything's up for competition. Normally, that is the case with Coach Saban anyway. Whether it's preseason or throughout the season, everybody can compete and can win the job. And I do think as far as separation with the receivers, I saw a couple of times where guys didn't seem to be running their routes full speed. I don't know if that's because they were tired or whatever else. But, it just was not the performance that I think a lot of fans expected, Mick, for this game. I mean, they expected Alabama to win by 20. They expected them to put up big numbers. But Texas came out and they had a great game plan. I mean, Sark had a great scheme. His first script was phenomenal. I mean, it's like he knew everything that Alabama was going to do defensively and was able to take it right down the field. And, and for them, just a great drive to start it off. When Ewers went out of the game, and I know that's going to be, we talked about earlier, a complaint from the Texas fans once again is, we would have beat you off. That would have happened. I don't know. I think you adjust to things as the game goes on. I think Alabama made some really good adjustments in the second half at halftime and came out and offensively kind of found some things that they could do and be better in the second half than they were in the first. But again, Heisman Trophy winner Bryce Young, I mean, he stepped up, he played, showed tremendous poise throughout the game. But look, this criticism is necessary, and I think it's part of what the fans get a chance to do and talk about and be able to criticize the coaches, the players, and everybody. But again, when you look at the record book, it's 2-0. Alabama won by 1 point, but as long as they keep winning and have a chance to play in the SEC title and championship and have a chance to get in the playoffs, it's going to be a good season. And again, they're going to learn from this, no doubt about it. This is something that probably put a scare in them today that they're going to remember and don't want to have that taste in their mouth again.
Back to the phone lines again. Jay Barker, Mick Gillispie on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, hit the bell so you know when we're live. Alabama 20, Texas 19. Doesn't feel like a win today, but it should. I was high-fiving everybody at the house here when Will Reichard's kick sailed
even the dogs?
True. Even the dogs. We had 3 dogs over here. We had all of our friends. It was great. Our producer, Chris. Wow, what a win. All right, who's this and where you calling from?
This is Mike from Oakland.
Mike from Oakland.
What's going on with y'all? How y'all doing?
What's happening? Doing well. Thank you, Mike.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. We want to hear what your take is on
What you got?
the 2019
my phone
win.
keeps cutting out. My bad.
That's all right.
I was listening to the last couple of callers, bro, and I've been watching the Bama games for even before Nick Saban got there. One thing I know about Bama, they end when they lose. It's in between these weeks. Everything that we just saw, these 15 penalties. Oh my God, these 15 penalties. I felt like I was watching the Oakland Raiders from early 2000s. It was
That's
crazy.
right. Yeah.
But those are going to be shored up. You know what I'm saying? And when you really look at it, we were a young group. We have a young group all over the field. We're facing our old offensive coordinator the following season. We in a hostile environment, and we still pulled out the win on the ends of 2 of our superstars. There's a lot to shore up, but if you're a true Alabama fan, man, have more faith, have more confidence. Don't be one of them fans to leave the stadium earlier because we looking bad. Be one of them fans that stand up in the end zone like, man, we here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bama's strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to let y'all, you know what I'm saying, do y'all thing. But I'm just telling the fans, man, be smooth out here, man. I felt like this is the Auburn game, last year.
Yeah.
I felt the same way.
We did the exact same thing. So, man, we're gonna be there at the end of the year, man. We're gonna be having better discussion, and we're gonna be talking about better statistics and less penalties. I'm prophesizing that, and we're gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? Roll Tide, man.
Roll Tide, Will.
Roll Tide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for hitting us
Thank
from
you,
the
Mike.
West Coast. And Jay, a Raider fan in the comment section when Will said that he's a Oakland Raiders penalties, Raider fan says, we know about penalties. Love you guys in the comment section. Keep them coming, paying attention to them as well. Your thoughts, man. It is a win, right? And he's right. Last year barely got by Auburn and then went into
Florida, Texas A&M, these games on the road. So there's something psychological or something going on with this team when they go on the road, and it's a tough environment. So that you're playing against a team right now. Again, you had Sark, you had who was the special teams coach at Alabama that was there now at Texas. That was with Saban for years. There's like 2 or 3 guys in that staff that kind of know the environment or know exactly what's going to happen, how they're going to play the game. Saban knows a lot about them, but his coaching staff, they weren't really there. They don't really know. I mean, he knows, but they don't know when it comes to preparing and stuff. I mean, Sark's first script was, I was sitting there just in awe as a quarterback and an offensive guy that loves to look at X's and O's, and the things he was doing with shifts and movements and screens, and just really, he was really keeping Will Anderson off balance. He did a great job of just really eliminating him from the game early on, and then Will came on there at the end, and as he would and as he should. But he's got to cut down the 4 penalties. He can't have that, the offsides, that late hit. He's got to clean that up as well. A lot of things to clean up, but still a lot of positives. I mean, it's funny. I mean, the eye in the sky tells it all. We always used to say, look, it's never as good as you think when you win by 40, and it's never as bad as you think when you win by 1. And when you get in the film room, you begin to study, you see some good things that happen on the field. You'll see some, one-on-one matchups, whether it be the line, whether it be protection. A couple times it was Jahmyr Gibbs missed the blitz. He missed the block on the linebacker. That was his guy. And again, he's learning the system. And in game time,
we lost Jay. Yeah, look, and like he said, Jahmyr Gibbs might have missed a block here or there, still kind of learning the system. But it's one of those things where, Alabama was able to kind of bounce back and they scored the points when they needed to. 20-19 was the final score today. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Keep taking your calls. Jay, I'm sure will pop back in when he gets his service figured out. I think we've had some bumps today too. Chris is doing like 3 things at once in here. We're tapping out the Wi-Fi in the studio. Who's this and where are you calling from?
This is David from Louisiana. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, David from Louisiana, down in L.A. What's up, man?
Oh, not much. Just seeing all these LSU fans post on my Facebook, struggle, win, struggle, win. I don't have a problem with a struggle win as long as there's a W in that column. Sometimes a win like this will humble the players, motivate them for the next game. And that's what Nick Saban has talked about several times. He don't care if we win by 60, 70 points, as long as there's a W in that column. And that's what Alabama fans have gotten accustomed to over the past couple of years, is winning by 30, 40 points and scoring 50, 60 points on the scoreboard. It's time for the Alabama Crimson Tide fans, and I'm a diehard one, and I agree, to get back to the basics of football and not worry about that scoreboard. Just worry about the end when the clock hits 0 and there's a W in that column. Yes, Alabama's going to probably fall from number 1. And the way they play today, they need to fall from number 1 to get them back on track to be the number 1 team in the country. The way the offense played today was shaky. It's like I heard, I think it was Joe Cladd or whatever his name is on there talking about Bama doesn't have the speedy wide receivers like we was accustomed to over the past couple of years. And he's right. They're not as fast as Devontae and all of them, But, for a moment there, I was like, man, Longhorns could put their cheerleaders in and Bama couldn't move the ball offensively.
Yeah, right.
But
we've got
at
speed.
the end of the day, it's a W.
Yeah, it's a
That's
W.
all that matters.
Well, look, 2 things. Roll Tide. Two things
Tide.
I want to tell you. Remind all those people on Facebook that we have a kicker that can kick from LSU. If they have a problem with the way that Alabama's struggle win went today, just remind them that they lost on the extra point that was missed. So struggle loss for them. And thank you. Exactly. Chris has given me a point. And then the other thing is that how long are they going to be paying for Ed Orgeron? That's all I'm saying. How much of that ticket dollar is going to Ed Orgeron, right? Come on.
Exactly. They're going to be paying for him for a long time. And if they, when LSU loses a game, no matter if it's to Troy or to FSU or to whoever, the first thing they want to do is fire their new head coach. And from my understanding, the way this contract is with Brian Kelly is if he goes, they still have to pay him that $100 million or whatever it is completely out. No matter what, LSU will go bankrupt the way that they keep going through coaches. They're going to go bankrupt, and they won't even be in the SEC anymore. They might have to move to the SWAC or something like that, you know. Heck, I thought about taking Louisiana Tech and putting them in LSU's place the way they've been playing over the past couple of years. But anyways, brother, Roll Tide, it was a great win. It was a struggle win, but sometimes we need that to get back to the basics and to put a drive in our team and get down with these penalties, because we don't need 15, 16 penalties for over 100 yards. That's just uncalled for. I know it's a hostile environment. The Texas Heat, I've worked in Texas, West Texas, all over the state of Texas. And I know Louisiana Heat and Alabama Heat, but that heat over there, I'm telling y'all, it is a different kind of heat that anybody's ever seen in their life.
That's right.
You that. But if it wasn't for Will Anderson on that sack, when they were driving down the field, it could have been a different outcome. I'm so thankful that Alabama has a kicker like Will Reichard. We haven't seen a kicker like that in years. He's been perfect the past 2 years, you know, last season and this season so far. And I just believe that Alabama's going to get back to the way things are supposed to be. And when Jay gets back on, tell him it's a disappointment that I didn't get to speak with him.
I'm right here.
He's right there. Just say Roll Tide to him.
Hey, I'm here.
Roll Tide, Jay.
Roll Tide.
I'm the super chat that asked you the other day about becoming a QB coach.
Oh, yeah. Good question.
I hope and pray to God that you do get to come back to Bama, where your roots are at and where they still are, and make Alabama better than what they are. So with that being said, I know you got other callers. I just wanted to put my 2 cents in. And sometimes, like I said, we have to accept a 20-19 win. As long as it's a W there, it humbles us and gets us back to the basics of what football is all about. Roll Tide. God bless. God bless the United States of America.
Hey, thank you. Great call. Yeah. Big win for Alabama. Let's go right back to the phone lines again, Jay, now that you're here. Guys, just shoot out what you want to say. We'll chew on it a little bit and kind of talk it over. Your thoughts on the 20-19 Alabama win over Texas on the road and the Texas Heat. Who's this and where you calling from?
This is William from Virginia.
What's
How
up?
you guys doing? Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, man.
What's up, William?
Hey, so just watching the game, and yeah, you can be emotional about it, but the facts are our team went to a hostile environment. The coach knew our team, knows how we do things, knows how Nick Saban does everything, and it was sloppy, but we got the win. And this is more of a lesson learned and moving forward than scrapping the entire team and going back to the chalkboard. And we got to support the team. So I just want to give one shout out to the team, to the coaching staff, because I know they're going to go back at it starting on Monday. And love you guys. Love the show. Jay, Roll Tide to both of you, and love the Bama Nation.
Thank you. Great call, dude.
Call.
Great call. That's how you get it done right there. 1 minute and 7 seconds, Jay. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, as he said, a win's a win. It was ugly, but at the same time, you learn from it, you grow from it, and this team will do that. And this is kind of how they played last year, a little bit on the road, like I said earlier. Hopefully they can kind of correct that and get off to a better start than they did against Texas. But Texas has really worked on Alabama, and not to say that Alabama didn't work on Texas, but they probably didn't work on them the same way. I mean, this meant so much to them to get a win with ESPN Game Day there, with all the attention, with Sark being a former assistant. Coach Saban 1-2 the last 3 games against assistant coaches, getting beat by Jimbo Fisher and also Kirby Smart. So, he wanted to be another one of those assistants and guys that was under him that got the victory, got the win. And, they came out, had a great game plan. Defensively, had an awesome game. I think Coach Patterson, as I said, from TCU, working as a special assistant, special advisor for the staff, did a great job breaking Alabama down and figuring out ways that other teams really, put pressure on Bryce. I mean, they came with the middle, made him really caused a lot of issues for him throwing the ball, and that's why a lot of the balls were high, going down the middle, him throwing them away. So I think, as he said, a lot to learn from this a lot to grow from it, and they will. And Coach Saban will get these guys on track. And, Will Anderson, he's probably going to be hard on himself after the game and talk about that. I love the fact that Coach Saban, after the game, I don't know if you saw it, but when he went up and talked to Sark, he asked at the very end about yours, how he was doing, and you could hear, you could kind of see him say, how's your quarterback? And he began to kind of talk about his left shoulder, and so that was real classy on Coach Saban's part.
Yeah, nothing but class. Guys, as you hang out with us, like and subscribe, give us a thumbs up. If you're not already part of the Bama Insider YouTube family, all you got to do is subscribe. It's free. We want you to hang out with us. We do shows after every football game, before the game. We cover Nick Saban's press conferences, the players, anything Alabama, we have it here on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. And don't forget, Bama Insider, we joined On 3 this year, made the big switch. And we want you to make the big switch with us. We were rivals. Now we're On 3. And a lot of great people are part of this. And the introductory price for you to join us, $1 for an entire year, BamaInsider.com. So that's all the recruiting with Andrew Bone, Joseph Hastings. That's team coverage with Clint Lamb and Jimmy Stein, and then, anything Alabama, we cover it right here. Kyle Henderson's always involved as well. All right, let's go back to the phones again. And guys, just throw out your comments, and Jay Barker and I, Mick Gillispie, will comment on it. Your take on Alabama's 20-19 win. Who's this and where you come from?
Yeah, this is Ted from Houston. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Ted from Easton?
Houston.
Oh, Houston.
Yeah, Houston,
okay.
Texas.
Yeah.
Right there in the heart
Hey, how are
of
you
Texas.
doing? So I just want to hammer home some variables. We know we talked about, morning time. We talked about 120 degrees on the field, college game day, Texas is Super Bowl. Here's what I think what some people are frustrated is that when Bama, people don't look at Texas had all off season to focus on Bama. Here we are taking on an 11-win, Mountain West champ, to start the season. That's one thing a lot of people, we actually had to at least study some tape and play a team of the Bulls. Mm-hmm. And then on top of this, I think the tempo, once Alabama, I think what, people say, oh, that one play, the fourth down. I'll tell you what, if Roy Dell doesn't flip, take a look at the play. He's taking it to the house.
Yeah.
I mean, we, I think the offense, finally, I think if we would have just stayed tempo coming out of the second half, we would have seen Alabama really stretch this lead and won this game comfortably. And sometimes winning on the road, in a hostile environment is not a bad win. It's a good win. Now, he says rankings. I'm just going to leave this to everybody. Marshall's in Notre Dame in the third, up 9-7. So we're going to drop what? 2 maybe because of Georgia, and if we drop it all. I think that Alabama figured it out when they needed to. They finally, it's like a deer caught in headlights. They just finally turned on the gas at the, when we needed it. And we'll take it, man. A win's a win. So that's what I want to say.
Hey, Roll Tide, thanks for calling in Texas. And we appreciate you getting on with us. Jay, any thoughts before I go to the next call?
No, I mean, he hit it on the head. I mean, there's a couple opportunities there for Alabama to make some big plays, and Roy Dell just got knocked back. I mean, that great push there on the line of scrimmage. I mean, I think if he makes the cut a little bit earlier, but he was trying to press the hole and then make his cut like he's taught, and they just did a great job pushing back, and he almost got the first down. He really did. I mean, I thought at first that he had it, but you can see that he was a little bit short there at the end. But I think just so much to get into. But we'll get into more calls.
Yeah, all right. He's Jay Barker. I'm Mick Gillispie, hanging out with you guys on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. It's the postgame show brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominiums. And let's go right back to the phone again. Who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, man, this is Dustin from Huntsville, Alabama.
What's going on, Dustin?
Not too much, man. Just had a heart attack watching that game, but I had to see the Tide pulled it out.
Yeah. Look, I think all
I
of us
just
did.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I think all of us did. I mean, look, there was nothing comfortable about today's game.
Yeah, not at all, man. I just want to say, Tide fans we're really critical of our team, but we went on the road and played a tough team, and this is an out-of-conference game. They may be an SEC team in a few years. This is an out-of-conference game, and Texas is no joke year in and year out. And they had a really good. We made some mistakes, but they had a really good game for themselves. And I mean, people talk about it being a close game, but close only matters in horseshoes and grenades. So,
yeah, look, I'm with you. Totally.
That's all I really wanted to say, man. Is we're really critical of our guys, but they went out and played a hell of a game today. It was a tough one for them, and they didn't exactly pull out all stops. I keep hearing a lot about how Bryce Young should have been down for a safety, but it's a tough game for them, and I think they pulled it out, and that's what matters. And I don't think you can take much away from them from the fact that they were on the road against a tough Texas team. So that's all I really wanted to say. I appreciate you guys doing the show, and y'all have a good night.
Hey, Roll Tide, man. Great call. Look, at the end of the day, Roll Tide, at the end of the day, Jay, I've always wanted to do one thing when I played sports, and I'm sure you kind of feel the same way. It's win by 1 point or more, right? But have one more point than the other team. Like, I think sometimes we forget that the style points really don't matter for Alabama. If they win all their games, they're going to be there at the end of the season. And you know what? They had one more point than Texas today. Texas played as well as they possibly could have. Alabama probably played about as bad as they could have. And Alabama still found a way to win the football game. This was something that Alabama did not have when Mike Shula was the head coach before Nick Saban took over. They found a way to lose all of these games. This team now knows how to win those games. It's a culture thing at Alabama.
Yeah, I think Bryce is just playing with the opponents and like, look, I'm gonna be Heisman again. I'll just come back in the fourth quarter and win this game instead of winning it early. But amazing plays by him. Again, that scramble where he ducked underneath, phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, again, a win's a win. But I get the fans. I mean, look, call in, give us your thoughts, talk about whatever you want to express. If you got some anger or if you got some frustrations, and if you got some praise, we've had it kind of from both sides of look. This is a team that's going to continue to grow and get better. When you have wins like this early on, when it's close, I think you learn a lot from that as a team. It brings you closer. I mean, believe it, that locker room in there is celebrating. I mean, they're excited about it. Now, they're not excited about the penalties, the things they got to correct, and they'll get back to that. But they need to enjoy this win. To go to Texas, play at 11 a.m., all the stuff that they had to go through and all that. I mean, I know for a lot of folks, they're like, well, that's, every player, every athlete goes through that. It is, but they're in it in the moment, and they found a way to win. That's the key. Champions find a way to win, and they found a way to win today, and kudos to them.
Great point. Back to the phone lines again. Who's this, and where are you calling from with Jay Barker and Mick Gillispie on the BamaInsider YouTube channel?
Hey, can I be heard?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, man, great show. There's a couple things I want to speak on. The first thing is on the offense and the defense. The offense is when we get a running game going, tonight Bill O'Brien gets away from it, and he just abandoned it. He just going into this mode of just passing. And then on the defensive side, number 10 inside linebacker, Tua, it seems like sometimes he pushes it away from the play. And so I think we can improve on those things. And this is Ralph from Birmingham, Alabama.
Hey, what's up, Ralph from Birmingham?
Ralph, thank you.
Great points, man. Roll Tide. Thanks for the great call. Jay, comment on Ralph and what he had to say from Birmingham.
No, he's great. I mean, that was exactly right. And there's a couple of things that I would love to see that would be different. I think maybe the coaching staff will address this, but a couple of times I saw players, and I won't name who they were, standing over the Texas guys. I'm like, guys, stop. I mean, don't get a penalty. Don't push the guy while he's down or whatever, or stand over him as if like, I just made this tackle, and just play the game. Help the guy up. I mean, Coach Bryant always say, help him up and say, you're coming back again. I'll be back to see you again, type deal. But back to Bryce in the end zone. He wasn't down. He was on the back of the guy, extended the play. He was smart to know that, hey, I haven't gone down yet. My knee hasn't hit. He's trying to get the ball out. So he's throwing it, going to make a throw to a receiver. Hits the helmet of the defender. That's the one that gets called for the penalty. And then the ball goes flying out of bounds. It looks like a fumble, but it's actually a ricochet off the helmet. So it was a legal pass. The refs got it right. I mean, I was even sitting there going, look, if they can come out and say, because the way they announced it before, there was no way of getting out of the penalty. But then the ref came back and said, "Hey, I was told." I don't know if the home office said, "Hey, come out and say this," that, "Hey, I was told wrong. Now I can correct it." That way it didn't hurt either team. If that was done, good for them, because I think they made the right call. But he's right. I mean, that was not a fumble. It was not a safety. He was not down. He made a great play just trying to get the ball off in order for it not to be a safety, and everything worked out, I think, for both sides.
Back to the phone lines again with Jay Barker and Mick Gillispie on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. And again, guys, like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. That's a way of saying Roll Tide. It was 20-19, Alabama over Texas when this game ended today. And the Crimson Tide do improve to 2-0. Who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
This is Harrison. I'm from Virginia.
Hey, Harrison.
I thought we played a good game, honestly. If you take away the penalties, I feel like our defense played really well. But my only concern long-term would be our receivers. I don't know if it's just me that notices it, but I feel like we don't have a burner, like somebody who's just like, we don't have a Jameson or a Waddle or a Devontae, you know? And so I don't know. I think our receivers are good, but I feel like looking down the road, if we're going to beat a team like Georgia, you know, we're going to need somebody that's a deep set. So that's my only thought, I would say, on the game. But
good point.
I'd be interested in what you think about that.
Hey, Roll Tide, man. Great call.
Roll Tide,
I'll say this. Look, Harrell and Leary are two guys that Alabama has that were brought in to be that next guy. I don't know if they were in the game because they didn't – their numbers weren't called. But those are the two speed guys, Jay, who are supposed to be the guys that can take the top off of a defense.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Leary, but I know about Harrell. Harrell's just been struggling through some injuries, and they've been trying to get him healthy. And once he gets healthy, he's going to be a dynamic part of this offense. They really want him to be that guy that does kind of take the top off the coverage. JoJo Earl being out, I think, too. I mean, that's a guy that's a speedster, a guy that's kind of like, that can play that slot receiver, but can really get down the middle and make plays, and can also in screen-type situations get you a lot of positive yards. So a couple guys missing there, but I really just think the scheme today that they had on defense against Alabama, pressure, the coverages they had behind it, it's almost like they had an answer for almost everything that Bill O'Brien was throwing at them early on. And they made some adjustments and got to it there late in the game. And good for them. Kudos to them. And again, just a terrific job by Bryce Young.
Back to the phone lines again, and we love it when you guys jump on and get right to it so we can get to some more callers. Who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, man, it's Robert from Mobile.
What's up?
Hey, yeah, I have to echo a lot of the other callers. The play calling today left a lot to be desired. And like you were saying, we also definitely missed some kind of a speedster to take the top off the defense. The thing that bothered me the most was kind of the drive when we were trying to run the clock out on a 4th and inches.
Yeah.
Why we didn't put the big quarterback in there? That his name escapes me right now.
Jalen Milroe. That is a good point.
Jalen Milroe. Yeah.
Jalen Milroe. That is a really good
there's
point.
No way you stop. Right. There's no way you stop him for inches. No one stops him from 4 yards. So if you're going to run out the shotgun, that should have been Jalen Milroe back in there in the shotgun doing the wildcat. Instead, you run your third running back, your third straight running back. Come on, Bill. Why wasn't that Gibbs? Why wasn't that Chase McClellan? What was it doing being Roydell Williams? Now, he would have got the first down had he not tripped, but it was a crucial moment in the game. You needed your best guys, your ones, your twos in there, doing that running play, or you let Jalen Milroe do it, because you don't stop him for a yard. It's the guys. I think we keep complaining the same thing with the offense coordinator, and it's time for. We just can't keep having these same complaints about him not running the ball, and about him in some of the play calling, but. Despite that, we still managed to win the game. Again, I heard other people during the week say, well, as long as we win by 1 point. No, this is Alabama. That was Texas. If that was LSU during the time when LSU was still a dominant team, and that was Death Valley at night, like when A.J. McCarron threw the screen pass to T.J. Yeldon, that was a tough game because that's LSU. That's Death Valley at night.
And during that time, they had a history of giving us close games like this. This is Texas. Last year, they were losing to Kansas. Now, I know they're a better team, but are they this much better? Or the play calling could have opened the game a lot more than it did. So hopefully in the coming weeks, Bryce will start running a little more, realize, okay, hey, my receivers, my legs are the best bet for us to win this game. And we'll see more running. Because we did that, it opened up a lot. But again, we got the job done, and at least we don't have to carry the burden of the number one team anymore. That'll be Georgia's burden for the next 3 months. You got to carry the burden now, so go with it. Although Florida's going to give them better games than they think. But okay, guys, thank you.
Hey, great call. Look, I agree with something that he said. You've got to use the personnel that you have. Why not bring in Jalen Milroe and let him run for that yard and get him into the game and kind of take advantage of the ability that he would have to throw and pass when you need a yard like that? Maybe are you worried about a fumbled snap?
You could be. I mean, I think at that time, I mean, there's I think packages that you have designed that you should get to. I mean, I would say even, Jalen would be a great because he is a power type runner. He's got a lot of speed. He's big. He's athletic. But what I would do, I mean, if that was me, I always said take the quarterback out of the game. Just take him out of the game. Go Wildcat. Get your big personnel in. Go Wildcat. Direct snap to your running back. And just let all those big guys get a push, whether it's bringing a defensive lineman in, whether it's bringing another O-lineman or tight end that can block. Just get the push where you need to get the push, and let the running back is normally, can catch the ball and get up in there on a Wildcat situation. But, here's the thing. I mean, you always got to remember, and look, I know as fans, we all can second guess and we all can look at it. We can all judge it based on, minutes later, seconds later, or even hours later. At that moment, you're the offense coordinator. You got to make a call. You got to make the call you feel comfortable with at that particular time. He's got a sheet he's looking at the calls they've run during practice. The guy that's run it, they feel most comfortable with. And I guess that that was Roy Williams is who they felt like was the guy and the things they practiced throughout the week. And they're going to run what they practice. They're going to run what they rehearse, like you would if you're a band or if you're anybody. I mean, like if you rehearse something, you do it, you go with what you've been doing throughout the week because everybody's kind of on the same page and the players are expecting it. But there are different ways to get to it, no doubt about it. And I'm sure that Bill will learn from this, and he will. I mean, he's a great coach, and he'll look at everything that he did. He'll be probably the most critical on himself, and talk about this with the coaching staff and figure out ways to be better when it comes to those down and distance.
And look, when Alabama needed play calls to get them down the field in the fourth quarter to win the game, I thought the play calling late was great.
Yeah.
Even at that one, at the end of the game when they were in field goal range, I'm thinking, don't do anything here to make a mistake and not get a chance to kick. You got a guy that's automatic in Will Reichard, and he didn't. I thought the play calling was really good at the end. And obviously when you have Bryce Young, it makes it a little bit easier because he's just so clutch in those situations. I mean, you talk about what he did last year in the Iron Bowl, the ability to drive the team down the field and score that touchdown, to force overtime. And today, same type of situation. This is Johnny Unitas stuff. I mean, this is, Tom Brady and John Elway and Peyton Manning. I mean, these are what the all-time greats are able to do. Jay, you've been in the situation before where your team's down by 3 or down by 2 or down by 6, and you got to drive them in a hostile environment down the field to try to win the game. How tough is that?
It's tough. I mean, it's tough, but you also accept it, and you love those moments as a quarterback or as a competitor that like a receiver that you want the ball. I mean, I'll never forget against Tennessee in 1993. We were down by 8 with about 80 yards to drive with about a minute 26 seconds left in the game. We had to tie it up to just tie it at that time, and which was like a win because we'd won 7 in a row, so we didn't want to lose to them. But, I'll never forget, Kevin Lee and David Palmer. David came back to the huddle. He's like, just throw it right there in the hole. We were running a go route for him on the outside, and they were been playing cover 2. We've been throwing it short, getting guys out of bounds. I went back and just threw it right off the back shoulder of the corner. He leaped and was able to catch it. And you want guys like that love those moments. So when you get in those moments, you want to perform and be the guy that's able to win that game. So that's what they did today, and that's Bryce Young. I mean, he's so calm and cool under pressure. It really is amazing to watch him and see the way that he steps up in the pocket, the way that he finds guys. I mean, that throw for a touchdown that he made to Jameer, and being able to throw it across his body the way he did on a strike was just phenomenal. So he continues to amaze me, and I think a lot of the Alabama fans out there. But again, Alabama's supposed to win by 20. Well, they won by 2019.
2019.
They got to 20.
I'll take it. I will take it, because if this was a 19-17 loss, we'd all be just so disappointed right now. We're just motivated, Jay. We're just motivated. A couple super chats came in. Gerald Franklin, thank you, brother. Really appreciate it. Bill O'Brien, in my opinion, has no creativity. Our OCs before him found ways to get the receivers open. Your thoughts on that? And then Big Buck says you don't take Young out of the game. He's our best player in the game. He thought that the hole was there and the running back just missed it. Look, he fell, right? So that's probably why Bill O'Brien didn't take him out, of the game. But it would have been nice. You got to use the personnel that you have. It's just kind of how I feel about that, even though he's a great player. But, two thoughts there that you can comment on, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, again, back to we talked about Wildcat, talked about using Jalen Milroe in a situation like that. And again, you're just going back to, okay, Jalen hasn't played at all in this game. It's kind of late in the game, and do you put a guy in that hadn't taken a snap? Maybe you do. I mean, if you feel comfortable with it, you do it. If you've worked on it and practiced it, and that's part of your third down and short package, then you put him in. If you haven't practiced it, haven't worked on it that much that week, then that's not something you go to. Now, as far as with Bill, I mean, Bill's a phenomenal OC, and as a head coach in the NFL, he knows football, how to get guys open. And again, I mean, I saw at times some of the receivers not running routes maybe the way they should. At times, slowing down in routes, and that's one of the things and issues they had to work on last year. They'll correct those things. There's a lot to learn from this game, and they will. They got a great coaching staff, and they'll figure this thing out. The key is that they got the win, and when you get a win like this and it's tough, again, you learn so much from it, and I think that's. I mean, I know it's hard for the fans, but it's best for the players. I'm telling you, it's great for the team to go through something like this.
He's Jay Barker. I'm Mick Gillispie, hanging out with you on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. This is our post-game show brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominium, talking about Alabama's 2019 victory in hostile Austin, Texas, against the Longhorns, a game that came down to basically a last-second field goal. And our guy that covers Alabama on a daily basis, Clint Lamb, is going to jump on the show, and we're going to talk about this thing. Let's pop him on. There he is. What is going on, brother? What'd you think of the game? And welcome to the show with Jay Barker.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. Pretty crazy, pretty familiar, right? I feel like we took a time machine back to November of 2021 against Auburn. Very similar games. I did say going in that I thought this was a chance for Alabama to make a statement, and not a statement in the way of we're the best team in the country. It's a statement of we're not the same team we were last year, and we're going to be able to go on the road and do the things that we need to do and focus and get the job done. And I didn't see that today, but at the same time, there's other opportunities from that down the road, and we'll have to see if they're able to take advantage. But pretty crazy 4 quarters.
Yeah, look, I mean, it definitely was, and it reminded me of the Auburn game. But you know what? Bryce Young, somehow, some way, able to come up with the big plays in this game when Alabama needed it.
I'll be very curious to go back and watch the film because, Tyrion Arnold, I think, now Quinn Ewers had gone out of the game, I'm pretty sure by the point Arnold had come in, but it felt like he was a stabilizing force at corner. It felt like Javion Cohen, and this is why I need to go back and watch the film. I could come away with a completely different opinion, but it felt like he was, somewhat of a stabilizing force on the offensive line when he was able to come in. So I'll be curious to see what, film review reveals on that front, on both of those fronts. But it is really interesting because, Bryce Young, I think, from my perspective, because it felt so much like the Iron Bowl, you kind of felt like it was going to play out in a similar fashion down the stretch. So, I think it is interesting how, I do think that it's interesting how it ended up playing out the way that it did. And we'll have to, see how things work out. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of audio difficulty.
That's what he's saying too. Jay's saying that he's having some. Jay, can you hear us now?
I got you now. Yes.
Okay, good. Clint, can you hear us? Okay, everybody can hear everybody.
Yeah, we're good now. I don't know what's happening.
Well, if you saw me talking, I'm talking to our producer, Chris, with the volume down, and I'm listening to what you're saying as well, But I think you bring up some great points, Clint. Let's take the super chat here from Todd Akins. He says, Jay, is the man-to-man coverage just too problematic in today's college game? Secondary really struggling in the second half. And you, Jay, you started, and Clint, you jump in on that as well.
Yeah, it can be tough at times because, these receivers are so much better than they were years ago. A lot of 7-on-7s and a lot of different things that they've learned as they've grown up from the time that they were in Little League all the way through. So receivers a lot better at running routes. It can make it tough. I know that Saban and Belichick and all the guys believe putting those guys out there on islands. I think Alabama's done a better job of giving a little bit more over-the-top protection with the safeties over the last couple of years or more, but in certain times or against certain teams. But, a lot of times those throws are just tough. Back shoulder throws, I don't care if you're the, all-pro cornerback in the NFL, it's just tough to cover. Their under throws are tough to cover. And they just did a good job. Sark came out with a great script to start the game. You just got to give him credit for that. You got to give Texas credit for that. Schematically on defense, what Patterson, whether he helped them or put it together, they gave him a lot of credit throughout the game for that he's studied them for the last so many months and really put his eye on this particular game, especially in how to defend this Alabama offense, and especially how to put a pressure on Bryce Young. So then they did a great job in the first half. I think Alabama made some great adjustments. There was one blitz late in the game that I thought the offensive line did a terrific job just muddying it up and keeping him in the pocket where he could make the throws down the field and get them down to score. So I think that's a lot to learn from this game. And Clint, I think the biggest thing is that receivers are just so much better now than they have ever been. They're just so much more trained than they've ever been.
Sometimes good players make good plays. And I think that that's something that we need to take into account more. Everybody looks at Alabama and they're like, oh, they've got the most talented players at all these positions. They should be winning all these matchups. The college football game in general is more so, really it's the NFL level too, but I would say more so college, but it's geared more towards offensive production and offensive play. And when you've got a play caller like Steve Sarkisian, the scripted stuff, absolutely. Thought that he did a great job throughout the game. And, these things are going to happen, but at the same time, you would like to get more consistency from that position. I feel like Kyrie Jackson, it was kind of a, there's a reason that, now, granted, we knew that they were going to play as many corners as possible. The competition has not been settled by any means. And I do feel like when Tyrion Arnold came in, he did provide some stability there. But with the way that Alabama likes to run its defense, they like to play the numbers game and give themselves an advantage with a safety play as much as they possibly can. And against an offense like Texas, who's going to have a strong running game with the Bijan Robinson and stuff, you didn't see a whole lot of mobility from the quarterbacks. And I think that certainly puts more strain on your defense when you're trying to play that numbers game. But, Alabama's defense, in a lot of instances, it'll leave its cornerbacks on islands, and you got to go out there and make plays. And I don't think people realize just how much strain that position is put under at times, in Alabama's defense. And so you still got guys who are learning and developing, and there's going to be big plays given up. But like I said, sometimes it just comes down to a guy like Xavier, I'm drawing a blank on his name, Worthy. Sometimes it's just guys going out there and making plays.
Yep. And a lot of the first downs, you look at the first down discrepancy between Alabama and Texas, but a lot of those first downs were penalties.
Oh, that's if you're a fan, that's got to be the most frustrating part, right?
Yeah.
Because you wonder, there were some uncharacteristic things that Alabama did, both offensively and defensively, that go beyond the penalties. But you would have loved to have seen just how this game would have played out if Alabama wasn't, struggling as far as getting flags thrown. And some of them maybe weren't warranted. Some of them, most of them absolutely were. And so you can play the blame the refs game all you want to. And I think that, fans are going to do that, and that's totally okay. But Will Anderson, he lined off sides a couple of times, or he jumped off sides, one time and lined up off sides. Another one of them was questionable to me. I'd have to go back and watch, but him, hitting the guy after he, had rolled over. Don't know what that was about. Uncharacteristic. This is Will Anderson. This guy has played as close to perfect football as you possibly can for the better part of going into now 3 years. And I just felt like this was not his best game, but at the same time, the man was owed one. So I don't think anybody should be worried. I don't think this is a reflection of how he's going to play this year. I don't think he's distracted, as far as the NFL is concerned, and I saw some tweets about that. No. I don't think that's anything that a guy like Will Anderson or Bryce Young is going to be worried about. I think it was a tough environment. I think there were some uncharacteristic mistakes made, but until I actually start seeing it become a theme, I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah, Mick, they double teamed him in the protection. They ran at him instead of away from him. When they ran away from him, he made the tackles. I mean, he was the one chasing the guy down.
Yeah. Well, he's so good. I mean, even this team in general, and it's kind of been this way except for a few times. And I think the national championship game against Clemson and, maybe one other game out there that Alabama lost where they really weren't in the game or they kind of got blown out. Most of the games that they've lost, have kind of felt like this, like where they're kind of in it and it's nip and tuck. Last year, Texas A&M just had the ball at the end and they kicked a field goal. The last couple times, Alabama's just made all the plays. Like they made all the plays in this game. They did it all against Auburn. They had the injury issue against Georgia. This game kind of felt like what life was like after Jamison Williams got hurt last year in the Georgia game. And I guess that's what a lot of the callers were kind of asking about is, wide receivers speaking. I knew there was a bunch of plays where I'm watching and they would show the wide shot and Bryce Young's running around and he's looking for someone to throw to and there's just no one there.
No separation.
No separation at all, right? So that's something that's going to have to improve. And I thought the caller saying, hey, who's going to take the top off of the defense is a really important question that Alabama's going to have to answer, whether it's Leary or Harrell or somebody else. That long, deep threat is what kind of neutralizes what we saw today.
Well, I mean, last year with Jamison Williams, you had the guy, it didn't even really matter if defenses lined up, with two deep safeties. I mean, he was a guy who could bust coverage regardless of what you were trying to do to stop the man. Alabama doesn't have that guy right now. They've got some options. One of them's on the mend in Tyler Harrell. We'll have to see what he's able to do when he's able to get healthy. But I think that he was brought in to be that particular guy, and not having that element in your offense is certainly going to affect things. Another player who I think can do it is Isaiah Bond, and people are going to look at that drop, and say, blame him for it. We saw Jamison Williams drop some balls last year too. It's just because he was such a trusted option, that didn't phase fans and it didn't phase the coaching staff at all. It wasn't like you didn't see a whole lot of targets or opportunities for Isaiah Bond after that. And I think that as he continues to get older and more mature and he starts learning from some of those mistakes and he starts getting more opportunities, I think he'll be a guy who can also push vertically as well. But right now, you're right. They're missing that element in their offense, and they got to find it somewhere. They've got some options, but they got to get guys healthy, and they got to get guys like Isaiah Bond ready. I don't know what's going on with Christian Leary. I'm more so I think he can play outside, certainly, and Alabama has played him a little bit outside. But I think he's more of a guy who you can do that with, pushing vertically from the slot. He's just right now, they trust, Kobe Prentice, and we'll have to see what ends up happening. But people got to understand Tyler Harrell. You had Cameron Latou, who was out for a while. He's just now getting back. You had, JoJo Earl was a guy. He's not going to be a guy that's going to push vertically. He's more of a slot guy. But that is, would he have been able to sit down in that zone coverage, and provide Bryce Young with a window that he was actually trying to throw it into? Would he have known to have done that? It's very possible. Prentice is a great player. He's going to continue to get better as the year progresses. But at the same time, he's still going to make some freshman mistakes, and people need to understand that.
Definitely.
Guys, what do you think Alabama's going to do moving forward? And look, I get it. It's Louisiana Monroe and Vanderbilt at home, right? This home schedule is not great. And the road schedule to me is one of the toughest I can remember. And I've been saying that. Chris knows I've been saying that for a long time, that this road schedule is tough. That this is just the beginning of environments that are going to be like this every single time Alabama hits the road this year. There's no Mississippi State in this road schedule. I think the LSU game is going to be tough. I think Ole Miss is going to be tough. I think Tennessee is going to be tough. I think these are tough games. Your thoughts on what Alabama's going to do moving forward to get ready for the next tussle like this?
Clint, go ahead.
I think that, the message that can be learned from this performance is, it's this particular team. Last year was last year's team. And they had some of these performances where you go on the road and you struggle and you don't need to do the things that you need to do in order to be successful, or at least not to the degree that you need to in order to be successful. But, this year's team is completely different. And that is a big thing, a big difference that I thought that would happen with this year's squad compared to last year's. You look at it now, if you're Nick Saban, and you're like, hey, we got to do the things on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays to give us the best chance to succeed on Saturdays. And then you also got to go in there and execute. And, I mean, I'll say this. I feel like that, whether it be LSU last year, whether it be Auburn, whether it be Texas today, you attack the line of scrimmage and you put pressure on Bryce Young and really is putting pressure on their offensive line and strain them. This Alabama offense doesn't function as well as it needs to. And I think that people are, certainly that I think there's some blame that needs to be put on Bill O'Brien's shoulders. I also feel like in a lot of ways, he's sort of handcuffed kind of in the same way that he was last year, at least that he was today. The offensive line and the breakdowns, whether it be in protection or whatever, run fits. It just feels like Texas was very aggressive and Alabama's offensive line struggled and the offense struggled. And we'll have to see how they're able to combat that and improve moving forward. With the defense, really, I mean, it was stark. It was 100, it was like 115 on the field, 120 on the field. Make Alabama's defense run east and west constantly and then take random shots downfield. And Quinn Ewers was hitting them. I really feel like what happened.
He was good.
Oh,
he
man,
was good.
And granted, a lot of his was on that scripted drive and people wanted to point that out on Twitter. This cat, though, he made some throws and some plays. And I actually thought it was a good decision for him to throw it out of the back of the end zone when he was under pressure. Just so happened that he left his feet, and that's what ended up getting him hurt. So that was unfortunate for him. But, you'll probably see that a lot in these types of games. But as the weather continues to cool down, you're not playing in Texas with it being 120 on the field. I think that will get a little bit easier. But, there is some improvement that needs to be made, certainly.
For me, 3 points. One is that they got great leadership, so they're going to be fine. A lot different environment inside the locker room, inside or on the playing field as well. They don't have the guys, the naysayers, the guys worried about playing time and not doing the right things. They've got great leaders in this team. Number two is that, as one caller said, let's scrap it all and start over. They're not going to do that. They know their team. They know what they got to correct. They'll correct it. Number three is that Coach Saban, I got to think that he actually loves this. This is a wake-up call for a team that he knows is getting a lot of rat poison. He talks about that all the time. You're the best. You're number one. You're going to be the best defense. You'll be the best offense. So he knows that he can build off of this, can humble these guys. And also that, for them to go in the locker room and go, man, we won by 1 point. We were able to do it. We came back. We won it. So they build off of that. They also realized that we can't go out and have the penalties we had. We got to play smart football, cleaner football than what we have. So I think, honestly, Coach Saban's loving the fact that they won, but he's loving more the fact that he can go back and say, I told you so. The process. Do this, correct this, do these things. This is how we're going to win. So they're going to build off of this. This would be a great learning point early on in the season. And as a coach, you love these moments. You love to be able to teach those kids, or young men, as far as what they got to do to get better. And so he'll use these moments and times in the game. And again, like I said earlier, the eye in the sky tells it all. They'll go look at the film. It's never as bad as you think it is. It's never as good as you think it is. And he'll figure this thing out.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I think Alabama played some of its best football after the Iron Bowl in that SEC championship against Georgia.
Yeah. Good point.
And if Alabama does what it needed to do today and what everybody was expecting, and they completely waxed Texas on the road, what do you think the conversation is like going into Fayetteville here in a few weeks? It's going to be Arkansas is a good football team, but Alabama's going to wax them too. And Nick Saban would constantly be dealing with, trying to overcome and keep guys focused and all that.
Yeah.
This type of performance, all Nick Saban has to do is, hey, look what happened last time that everybody told you were good, great, and wonderful, and you were going to wax a talented team, but not as, quote unquote, as talented as us. We probably should have lost that football game. And so he's got something that he can point to now, which I think will be beneficial for the team moving forward. And luckily and fortunately for Alabama, it wasn't a loss.
Yeah, good point.
Exactly.
Guys, I think we really kind of hit on everything. Great calls on the show. The comment section was blowing up tonight. Let's give our final thoughts on today's 20-19 Alabama win. Start with you, Clint, then Jay. I'll give mine and wrap things up.
Well, I think that Alabama's still got some work to do. They're not this unbeatable team that a lot of people assumed that they were. And I think at this point in the season, that's a good thing to be able to say. I think that their peak and how good they can be needs to happen at a later point in the season. It doesn't need to happen in game 2. And really at this point, there's only so many where there's only one way to go, and that's down. So yeah, like I said, I think they got some stuff that they need to work on, but guys who need to make plays made plays in crucial moments. And that includes Will Anderson. I don't care about the penalties and all that stuff. When he needed to make a play down the stretch, he got a big sack. Bryce Young, avoiding pressure, breaking tackles, making things happen both through the air and with his legs, rose to the occasion and played like a reigning Heisman Trophy winner. And, they need some more consistency and help at receiver. I think they need to continue to work and improve their play at corner. But it's like I've continued to reiterate all throughout the entire offseason. They have options, and they got, several options. It's just a matter of guys continuing to improve and, keep their focus in the right place. And so I think Alabama's going to be fine. But, this was definitely a wake-up call.
Yeah, I'll just say ditto to all that, and that it was a learning experience. It's something that I'm telling you, Coach Saban loves this. He loves it. And I know fans may not like that, but to have this early in the season, to grow off of this will be huge. Hey, it was ugly, but a win's a win.
Guys, you are being introduced to eventually what's going to be one of the biggest rivalries in college football. And I got to take that from my buddy Tom Abraham, who said that on the Tailgate Show. He's exactly right. Get used to this, because when these guys come into the SEC, this is going to be one of those matchups that you're going to see. And they've got the NIL money. It's not a coincidence that all of a sudden they go get Arch Manning. They're going to have players. They're going to try to stand up to Alabama. They played a hell of a game today. They didn't beat Alabama. But you know what? It was a really fun football game at the end, right? The way that it finished. Alabama's got to figure out the offensive line. It's got to get better. The receivers got to get better. The penalties need to go away. And I agree with you, Jay, that this is perfect for Nick Saban. You got the win, but the rat poison, there's going to be a lot of people now that are going to be talking about how bad this football team is and how they're overrated and how this team isn't that good and they should have lost, just because that's what happens in the media. Like they're going to talk about how awful Alabama is. But what we saw today was a really good football team winning a game that they easily should have and could have lost. And they didn't. And that's what makes this program special. That's what makes Alabama and what Nick Saban's doing different, is that this is a loss, but it isn't a loss. They found a way to get the win on the road in a hostile environment. And I say that most of the teams in college football would have lost this football game, period.
We've seen it plenty in years past, right? I mean, there's been teams that have been fighting to try to, Oklahoma State trying to, several years ago and 2011, trying to fight to get to a national title. Where they do, they choke this kind of game away and they ruin their opportunity. Alabama almost did it, but they found a way to get out there and win when it mattered. So that's the difference between a Nick Saban program and a lot of these other programs out here.
Yeah, and the takeaway for Texas is that if you're the backup quarterback, you better be ready. 2009 and today.
Well, hey, when that happened, I thought, oh man, here we go.
Me too. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Has there been a Texas quarterback get hurt between these two? I'm sure there has been, but man, it just as soon as it happened, I thought, here we go. If everything follows suit, Alabama's about to win, 6 or 7 more national titles over the next 10 years. So, or next 15. So,
you got your built-in excuse, Longhorns.
That's right.
Well, look, we appreciate.
I can't say I argue with him though. I mean, I think it would have been a different ball game if he wouldn't have gotten hurt.
Yeah, I was surprised that this Alabama defense hadn't gotten a turnover yet.
Oh yeah,
that's shocking to me, man. I mean, that's biggest stat of the day.
They went what 6 quarters or something without getting a sack, or it was something close to that, or only having 1 sack. I mean, historically good. They haven't proven it yet, but there's still plenty of time, still plenty of games left.
Well, next week it'll be Louisiana Monroe, then Vanderbilt, and then on the road to Arkansas. So some tough games are ahead, and we will be here after the game with the postgame show brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominiums. Guys, WestgateAL.com is a place that you can find all the information that you need about luxury in Tuscaloosa, right there next to Bryant-Denny Stadium, right next to it. I mean, there's a road and there's Bryant-Denny Stadium. There are oversized balconies. They're gorgeous. We hang out with you for home games on the Skygate Club. That's the roof of Westgate. at WestgateAL.com. You can find out about 1 to 9 bedroom units, 900 to 3,000 square feet. The awesome, beautiful kitchens that they have, the great parking. You're right there by the Walk of Champions, by the Strip, by Denny Chines, by the Quad and campus, all of that stuff right there. So WestgateAL.com, we appreciate them for their support. Great calls, great comments today. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up here on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. And don't forget, we want you to be a part of On 3. Look, there's my On 3 hat. Clint has his on right now. We got the gear. We got to get Jay some swag.
I need one, yes.
Yeah, I mean, look at you, Jay. We can't look at you right now. But we got to get you set up with something, right? Guys, if you want to be part of Bama Insider, you want all the information on the latest in recruiting, you want to follow the Tide with Clint, it's really easy to do. It's $1 for a year subscription, BamaInsider.com. Be a part of it. Look at it. And in a year's time, if it's not something that you want to, that you don't enjoy, then cancel. But the thing that you want to do right now is take advantage of this incredible offer, because we're just trying to get you guys all funneled into what we're all about. Andrew Bone and Joseph Hastings are ears to the ground when it comes to recruiting. Clint and Jimmy Stein kill it in the comments section. They're covering the team all the time. They're having a good time. And then Kyle Henderson, the best in the business. And he's the guy that runs this YouTube channel and is always involved with Alabama. Clint and Jay, great job today, guys. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Absolutely. Had a lot of fun, guys. Appreciate y'all having me on.
That was awesome. And great job here, Chris Daltrey. I'm Mick Gillispie. That does it for the postgame show. Bama 20, Texas 19. Horns down. Roll Tide, folks.
That's a penalty.